All right, I can read the questions.
So,
Okay.
Go ahead.
sorry, I got a little bit late, but you guys were discussing something and I dropped my computer, so I got out of the chat. So
Oh, it's okay. We were just answering a question.
Oh, okay. No, before that, you were saying that we have to like discuss the questions, not just like say the answers and what you got and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, no, only if we don't understand. If we all don't understand a question, we should probably discuss it.
Discuss
We
it.
can do that anyway, so I think we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, number one, which of the following are residents of rich countries likely to have in greater quantities or better quality than residents of poor country?
I have D, all the above.
Me too.
Housing, I know
Same.
for sure. Healthcare. Yeah, okay, D. Okay, during the past century, the average growth rate of the US real GDP per person implies that it doubled on average about every
B.
35.
Yeah. So when I figured
That's
it
kind of
out,
tricky.
I thought it was 25-ish, but then that didn't quite work, and then I thought 35. And wasn't there a place in the book that talked about it being 35?
let me take a quick look. I think I have it.
I can't remember. How I got 70, it was like 140 a year. I don't know. I divided it in half basically.
So I took like the base at 4,000. And then
I think it's 35.
3,000, and then doubled that to 17, and doubled that to 34, and doubled that to 68, which is above what it's at now. But then on part 12-38, it talked about 35.
35.
Yeah, I think it's 35. I'm looking at it right now.
The PowerPoint talked about it being 35 too. So,
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I have the PowerPoint up. Hold on, let me look.
Control F.
I know, right? At least I know this is the right PowerPoint. Right.
Oh, so frustrating. Okay.
Oh, I think this is it. No. Wait. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, here it has the GDP and the growth rate. So let me see this one. What did you have, Nicole?
I had 70 years.
I think it's 35. You had 35, Jose?
Yeah.
I'm good with 35. I just wasn't sure how you guys figured that out.
Hold on a second.
But if it said it in the book.
There it is. I'm opening it right now. It's not on the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint just has the percentage.
Okay. So look at 12-3H.
Okay.
Because I wrote that down when I was looking at it.
Okay.
12-3H. Okay.
See, so down towards the bottom under Joel Moiker, it says If he is right, the standard of living for the average American measured in per capita income will in the future take 78 years to double compared with the 35 years it took between 72 and 2007. So, and it says the past century, so that's not quite a century, but when you look at the other,
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Okay.
in the beginning when it gives those, you know, like the first productivity, I don't know, with all the measures on it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it went from 4,000 or 4,264 up to 50,000, I think. I don't know.
I think it's C. I can take the quiz first this time. And let you guys know. Okay. If we don't agree, we can go back to it.
Sure.
Okay. The average income in rich country, such as the United States and Japan, is more than.
I
So
wasn't sure on this
I
one.
I know.
think it's
This one was tough too because, like, I couldn't even find anything for Nigeria, or I mean,
No.
Indonesia, one of those, anyways. And then the one that I did find it was like,
None of the numbers.
yeah, it was more than 3, but it was less than 5 or something like that.
I remember reading, like, on the PowerPoint, if you look at the percentages from when they were talking about the 3, it was like very significant. So I think that it would be not A.
Well, there was one part in there that talked about it being 10 times
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's C.
But it never said anything about less than 20. So I was like, oh my gosh.
Let me do some quick math on this table. Let me see if the United States is more than 20 or less than 20.
Oh. Oh yeah. Oh, where does that say that?
Indonesia. Let's see. Does it have Indonesia here?
No.
Okay, well, that's helpful. Okay.
know.
well,
Weird.
There's one table in the book that had one of those two countries, but it didn't have,
Yeah.
like Melissa said, it didn't have both of them listed.
So bizarre. That's on 12-1. And the only one it has in there is Indonesia. So it doesn't even have Nigeria. I don't know how we even find that.
Okay, so Indonesia. Let me see.
Oh, it's crazy.
Okay, so that's. I don't think it's A. It's significantly more than 3 times. And I don't think it's D. It's not 20 times.
Right.
I think it's either B or C. I think it's C because I think I remember reading something about 10 times as well. I just don't remember where.
I thought it was in the PowerPoint, but
I don't see it in the PowerPoint.
I don't see any. I went through the PowerPoint a lot to look for that. And
Yeah.
I didn't find anything.
I didn't either. I think it was in the book.
Yeah.
maybe it was. I don't remember. There's so much information. And then I feel like it doesn't even ask what's relevant or what we're even covering. It's even more annoying.
Well, we can star it and come back to it if we want. I'll put a star next to 3.
Okay.
Okay, 4. Which of the following correctly ranks the 3 countries from higher to lowest for percentage of high school age children in school? Oh, I know this was in the PowerPoint. Wouldn't it be
C.
C? C,
Yeah, I'll
okay.
see on this one.
Yeah, I got
Okay, cool.
that one too.
Also, a lot of these statistics are based on like on the real life kind of a thing. So it's just sometimes when I don't know an answer, I just go and search like, what's the average high school graduate from United Kingdom? Was the average high school graduate from Mexico and stuff like that? So
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was definitely in the PowerPoint. So
yeah, I have see on that one. So
Okay. Countries that grew the fastest over the last 100 or so years had average growth rates of real income per person of about, oh, this was in the PowerPoint too, isn't it? Like 2.5, I think.
I
This-
put C.
this one I was between B and C.
I got
Both.
C.
You got what, Melissa?
C.
C.
C as
Yeah.
well.
And it
Okay.
was in the PowerPoint. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, this-
I remember that.
Yeah.
This one I was just between B and C because the reason is on the book there's just different countries, different amounts, and then the PowerPoint was on different. So I just go ahead and add them all up and divide them and just get the average. But I think it was 2.5. The one that's on the book is like 2.3 something. No, the PowerPoint, and the one is in the book is like really close to 2. So I'll go with C as you guys.
Okay. Last year, GDP in the imaginary nation of Oceania was 56 billion and the population was 22 million. The year before, it was 500 billion and the population was 2 million. What was the growth rate of real GDP per person during that year?
I got 2%.
I didn't know. So I
How did
thought it
you
was
do
2%,
that?
but I don't know.
So I took I did like how we figured out the GDP last time to get the percentage. So I took 250 minus 255. Oh, okay. So well, I guess I should start with I took 561 billion and divided it by the population to get the per person GDP, which was 255. And then I took the 5 billion and divided it by 2.0 million and got 250. So then I took 255 minus 250 divided by 250, and I got 2%. So that was the increase. Did that make sense, or did I go through it, guys?
Oh, that makes
I got
sense. I'm just curious, the equations that were in this week's lesson,
Oh yeah, that really had nothing to do with
where
figuring.
do those apply anywhere, or
Not on this one. No, no.
There was a little bit on chapter 13. But only like 3 questions about that. But yeah, so I think it'll come in a little bit next chapter.
Well, it's kind of what we did for the GDP last time, and we figured out how to find that. So it's using those equations from last week or the week before, whatever.
Okay.
So I don't know. And it wants to know what the growth rate of real GDP was per person. So you have to find the GDP, and the only way to do that is to take your real GDP, which is the 561 billion, and divide that by your population, which is 2.2 million. And once you do that, I got 255. So, right? So 561 billion. Oh.
Yeah, I just did what you did. I got 2%.
That's what you got? Okay.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, 7. Which of the following would by itself reveal the most about a country's standard of living? I think it's productivity.
Yeah.
D.
D.
D. Okay.
I wasn't sure. I was thinking it was capital, but okay.
Okay. The notion that our ability to conserve natural resources is growing more rapidly than their supplies are dwindling is supported by the fact that
C.
That's what I got too.
This one I wasn't sure. I couldn't find it. What do you guys find this one?
It's on the part about inflation in the book.
12-2B.
There you
12
go.
dash 3. Okay. 12 dash 2. Okay, I take a look on
I
that
love
one.
how you keep notes, Melissa, of the exact section that you read.
Oh, yeah, I have to, or else I can't remember.
You're
That's
right.
actually-
I should, because I never remember, and you have it right there.
My retention level is nothing.
Yeah, sometimes I just read and read and read, and I was like, yeah, I remember somewhere, but when I gotta go back and make sure, like, yeah, somewhere, so I had to read again a lot, like a lot.
I try to keep the group quiz close by when I'm reading, so that you know if it triggers. Yeah,
So you can kind of answer it as you go.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's a great way to do it. I just gotta learn from you guys.
Okay. If an inexpensive alternative to oil were found, the price of oil adjusted for inflation, I know it would decline.
I thought it was A, but I'm not sure.
I put A as well.
Too. Yeah, that's the only one that made sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would decline, and then it would reduce
The demand.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with A.
Reduce the supply, because supply is always the same, you know. Just yeah. So definitely can't be B or D.
Right. It's true. Okay. Country A has twice as many workers as country B. Country A also has twice as much physical capital, twice as much human capital, and access to twice as many natural resources as country B. Assuming constant returns of scale, which of the following is higher in country A?
I put A.
That's what I put too, but I also put a big question mark because I wasn't sure if I was right.
I think it's A because the output per worker is obviously going to increase because they have more they have twice as many workers as country B. So obviously they're going to have more output.
Yeah. In his
more
video,
more productivity. Sorry.
No, yeah. His video, I thought he said something about that too, about it doubling.
And then I also think it was they're going to have more output per worker because they have twice as many of the different resources, of all the resources.
Agreed.
So that's why I
do you guys think they will have twice as much of productivity as well?
Yeah, because they have twice as many workers.
Mm-hmm.
So they can put out more.
Yeah, I wasn't just really sure on that one.
That's what I think, anyways. That's what I understood.
Yeah, I mean it's obvious. It makes sense. But sometimes when you have in a film or in a company, if you have so many workers, even though if you have so many, they are not that productive as if you have certain number.
That diminishing returns thing.
Yeah.
I know.
Exactly.
I was half wondering if they were trying to trick us too. It's like my.
I think you're right, Nicole.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. If you have twice as much, obviously you're going to have more productivity and more output per worker.
I don't think it can be anything else.
Okay. Which of the following would increase productivity?
I put D.
Oh,
I did.
I put all of the above.
Yes, I did also.
Okay. If the number of workers in an economy doubled, all other inputs stayed the same, and they were constant returns to scale, productivity would. I think it would.
I said D.
So did I, but I wasn't sure.
I know.
Yeah, I put D as well.
I put a question mark and then I was like diminishing returns, but then it says constant returns of scale. So that means that
Yeah.
everything stayed the same. So it has to at least
Right.
double, if not, and maybe a little less because of, I don't know. Yeah. So D was the only one
Yeah,
that
I
I
put D.
felt worked.
Same.
Okay.
Hold on a second. If the number of workers in the economy doubled. What about that curve that we learned that even though you have more of everything, it doesn't mean that productivity only increases by a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
My thought on that curve is that it could be at the low end where it completely doubles, or it could be on the high end where it doesn't, but it doesn't specify that. So we know it's going to rise, but probably less than double.
Yeah.
That was my logic. But
Because the productivity, the curve, doesn't it continue to rise, but it just rises at a slower rate?
mm-hmm.
Right.
Down at the bottom, like where the people are really poor, then it doubles, right? But then as it gets higher, it still rises, but it does not double. That's on like slide 23 and 24.
Yeah.
Why do I think I keep thinking that it's gonna fall because maybe I'm overthinking this.
Kind of like that like it says on that 23 and 24, the catch-up effect. So down at the bottom, it increases a lot. And at the top.
But
Can-
1/2. Okay, I think I want to look at the book for that one later. I believe you guys, but I swear I read something about.
It does talk about diminishing returns. So it says the graph is curved, reflecting diminishing returns to capital. As the average worker gets more and more capital, productivity rises at a decreasing rate. Students may find it easier to understand. Anyways, if workers don't have very much capital, giving them more will increase their productivity a lot. If workers already have a lot of capital, giving them more won't increase their productivity very much.
Right. So I think that it would fall, but it would still be greater than 1/2 of its former value. Because they have a lot more people. They have doubled the people now, but they only have the same amount of inputs that they had before.
But how can it fall? Because the slope is always going up. I mean, even the book shows it increasing, but at a diminishing rate. So it's still increasing, even though it's not as, I don't know. Okay. So
yeah, okay. I can go with what do you guys think it is?
D.
D. Okay.
If you find it in the book, text us or something, because I couldn't find anything specific on numbers or anything. So
okay. Workland has a population of 10,000, of whom 7,000 work 8 hours a day to produce a total of 224,000 final goods. Laborland has a population of 5,000, of whom 3,000 work 7 hours a day to produce a total of 105 final goods.
I put B.
I got C.
C.
Yeah,
This is a tricky one.
it was. I agree.
I put it on this one. So we'll
Oh.
put different ones.
So I tried to divide it out like we did on that other one, kind of, and figure out what the productivity would be, and then what the GDP per person would be for each of them. So I found the GDP for labor land would be 21, and for work land it would be 22.4.
So Workland has a lower productivity, but a higher GDP than C?
That's what I got. Because productivity would be like how many hours that each worker makes. So I timesed how many workers, 3,000 workers times 7 hours times 365 days in a year. And then I divided that by the goods that they produced in that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not going to be an exact, because I'm sure they're not working 7 days a week, but it doesn't matter as long as you're doing it the same for each. You're still going to get the same parameters. And I found that Laborland had a higher productivity, higher productivity than Workland, but the GDP for Workland is higher.
So those has to do that one is working 8 hours a day and the other one 7 hours a day. So in a year it will be less working hours for one country for Laborland.
Right.
Would-
So they actually produced more goods in less time by like barely.
No, okay.
Yeah. So Laborland produced like 0.013 and Workland produced 0.010 is what I got for productivity. Oh.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
14. Other things equal, relatively poor countries tend to grow.
C.
I think C, the catch-up effect.
I got
C as well.
Okay. 15. If the best educated and most skilled persons leave the country, then in the short term, this country's human capital per worker.
I put B, but I wasn't sure.
I put B too, and then I put a question mark because I couldn't find it anywhere. I mean,
Yeah, I couldn't either. I
but
kind of just
okay.
went off of like common sense, like,
yeah, me too.
but I'm not sure.
Because if you're losing your skilled workers,
That means that will
production.
decrease, right?
Yeah,
That's what I
It will.
thought.
I think it will decrease because they were saying how I actually have it on my notes about having more people is good because you're going to have more engineers, more scientists, more all of that. I think it will decrease, but the capital per worker, it would increase because then you have less people, but that's just in the short term.
Yeah, I have D. I put D on it.
I think it's D.
D.
Yeah.
Okay.
physical. You said capital per worker will increase.
Yes, because now you have less people.
You have
best
less
educated
competition.
Yeah. In the short term, let's
In the short term.
In the U.S., each additional year of schooling has historically raised a person's wage on average by about, oh, this was in the PowerPoint.
That's 10%, right?
I got
I
D.
put D.
Yeah, I put D as well. 10% in less developing countries.
Okay.
It talks about it in 12-3D.
Okay, 17. Other things the same if a country raises its saving rate. When is growth of real GDP per person higher?
I put A, but I'm not sure. That one was a hard one.
I was trying to figure out between A and C.
Okay, let me look at my notes really quick.
Because they said it does slow as it goes towards the long term. So you see more benefit in the short run, right? I don't know.
Yeah, couldn't find this one.
Yeah, hopefully you can find it in your notes. That was a tough one. Did you say
not in the long run? I think other things equal. If a country raises its saving rate, when is production growth? No. Oh my gosh.
growth of real GDP?
I don't know. So wait, what do you have, Nicole?
I put A.
And you didn't know, Melissa?
I was between A and C.
I think it's A, but not sure.
I don't know this one.
I thought it was A because I feel like I read something in the book, but I'll have to go back and look and see where.
Let me see. Yeah, not finding anything in my notes.
Because if we think about it, sorry, go ahead, Melissa.
Oh, I was just going to say 12-3A is where it should be, right? Savings and investments.
Because if you think also about it, like if a country is like isn't the savings rate, for example, that's what's happening to Mexico right now. The new president is just like all about saving and not going into debt, and then the economy and everything is growing. So I think the economy will move forward in the long run if a country doesn't go in debt for such a long period of time.
At the very bottom of that section, it says, at this point, it is important to note that encouraging savings and investments is one way that a government can encourage growth and in the long run, raise an economy's standard of living. So that would mean GDP. So I would say A is right.
Yeah, I think it's A.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the long, so I don't know. Or is it as the it has to be A. Has to be A. I feel good about A.
Me too. Me too.
I
Because
wish this book had like a search engine that was better than what they offer.
It should be like they should have formatted like a PDF or something where you just put Control Find and type the word and you can find it.
You can still do that. You have to do it each section.
Well, yeah, but I mean the whole chapter.
Yeah,
That would
but
be nice.
Long run. Yeah, there's 366 results found. That's not going to work.
mm,
Okay. Okay, 18. Suppose that there are diminishing returns to capitals. Suppose also that there are two countries are the same except one has more capital per worker, and so it has more GDP per worker than the other. Finally, suppose that the savings rate in both countries increases from 4% to 7% over the next 10 years. We would expect that.
I put B.
Oh my
It would
gosh.
be as well.
yeah, me too.
Okay.
I was
19. Which of
trying to B and C, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
19. Which of the following public policies would be least likely to result in more rapid economic growth for a poor or developing country?
I put D.
Me too.
Oh, inward oriented. Yeah, I remember that. Okay. 18. Economists differ in their view of the role of the government promoting economic growth. At the very least, the government should
I put A.
Me too.
lend support to the invisible hand by maintaining property rights. Yes. So how do you guys feel about us sharing the recording with Hunter and seeing what he thinks about the ones that we're not sure about
Yeah.
before we submit it, since we have until Thursday? And then maybe, like, if Hunter does that, then we'll email the professor and just say, hey, he wasn't here, but he still contributed separately or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're not sure on number 3.
I have
Um,
3, maybe 12. I wasn't convinced on that one still. I wanted to actually find something. And then, was 17 it, or did we say 17 was A?
17 is A.
Okay. Okay, so any others that we weren't really sure about?
3 and 12.
Which one?
3 and 12, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Unless you have a better idea about number 2, but I can't really find anything else on that.
Oh, well, we'll just ask him to confirm everything since we already went over all the answers.
Yeah.
If you have anything contradictory.
Just to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I'll send the recording and I'll text him right now.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay,
Okay,
see you
thank
guys
you.
next week.
See ya.
Yeah.
Okay, see you.
Bye.
Bye.